So we're now, I think Biden has answered 8 or 9 times. I've heard 2 cheers. The first cheer was when he said the word malarkey, and the second cheer was when he said immigrants need to get in line. So malarkey, immigrants get in line. Those were the only cheers I heard here at Biden headquarters. And we just had it entertaining during the CNN commercial break. We had Biden trivia.
Hello, my friends. Hello. Where is Joe Biden's campaign headquarters? Philadelphia. Who said that?
What was his favorite ice cream? What's his favorite ice cream? What's his favorite ice cream and his favorite dessert? I didn't. Right. So we'll have further breaking updates soon. We're now an hour and 15 minutes into the debate. The block, the bar here, was pretty packed, full at 8 o'clock. Rah, rah for Joe Biden. We're now, if you look around, we got empty tables, empty tables, empty tables, empty tables, empty tables. We're now about, I'd say 30 to 40%. 30 to 40% have vacated the building. So I guess Biden supporters aren't exactly down with.
I almost feel like I just want to go to Toshi's to have fun.
Biden supporters have left after an hour and 15 minutes. And we're currently on, out of the 8 answers he's given, 2 cheers, 1 for malarkey, 1 for, telling immigrants they need to stay in line.
And they keep every time, normally when a person gets cut off, normally when a candidate gets cut off, they continue to talk. And every time he gets cut off, he gets shut down. He just he gets surprised and just be quiet. It just seems like he's not himself or like he's taking medication. I don't know, man. Cause remember I missed some work the other day because I took my medication.
Well, what he seems like, he keeps saying, he's talking and then he says, well, I don't know. That's been it. Well, I don't know. So it's very interesting. We'll see what happens going forward, but he's also getting beaten up pretty good from all sides. So we'll see what happens. So it is now an hour and a half into this debate, 1 hour left. I just went to the restroom here at the Joe Biden debate watch party. As I walked back, I noticed the Joe Biden debate watch party is now 50% emptier than when it started. If Ty goes up to the bar, he will see empty seats, empty tables. This is not at all an invigorated debate watch party. You have, in the beginning, it was full, and now an hour and a half in, it's half empty.
We've been to 3 watch parties so far, and people stayed to the end and even past the end to talk to us.
So this is not a good sign for Democratic Party enthusiasm if the Biden folk don't even want to stay the full debate to watch their candidate. Stay tuned for more. So we're now an hour and 40 minutes into this really invigorating debate watch party, let me tell you. By my count, we are now 65% cleared. That would be 65% of the people who were here for former Vice President Joe Biden went for the exits. This fine table to my, if this is a clock, I would say they're to my 2 o'clock. Yeah, they have been looking at me like a goddamn hawk and texting probably higher ups in the Biden campaign. Who are these folks shooting this debate watch party? We don't know if we want them here. Yeah, she's been looking at me like a hawk, and as I report to you, texting. It's quite sophomoric in high school. But ironically, and maybe entertainingly for us, some progressives actually entered the bar. Did you see my tweet that I was here and you showed up?
I did, yeah. I saw Jordan's tweet. As soon as I saw it on Twitter, I just came right over. asked my friend John if we could zip on over to here because you do some important work. You do some really important work.
I don't want the audience to think I'm like dramatizing or just, raining on Joe's parade. You came in about probably half hour, 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, close. Maybe even half hour. That's about right. Yeah.
What have you seen since you've been here?
It's just it's underwhelming. I was saying earlier, I've seen retirement homes with more energy. Folks are looking at their phones, barely looking at the TV monitors, and that's the energy for our vice president or former vice president. It's pretty pathetic.
Can I ask you guys what you think of the debate so far?
Pretty fiery, I guess.
Fiery?
Yeah, I mean, they just keep going after Biden with all the
Yeah,
points.
it's on all sides, right? Man, I feel bad for the guy at a certain point. He's standing there.
Well, he's the number one threat. I mean, it's also with Kamala. I mean, literally within the opening debate, the first dude was like, "Oh, Kamala."
What so far has been your kind of favorite line of Biden, or the best thing he said? I'm assuming you like Biden.
He's all right. He likes him a bit more.
She's a Harris fan.
Oh, you're a Harris girl.
I got a Polaroid with her yesterday. I'm a big.
And a tough relationship here. What was your favorite line of Biden tonight?
I'm very glad he said malarkey once again.
Malarkey was a big one.
Yeah.
So anything on policy or substance, or just malarkey?
Oh, just malarkey. I mean, honestly, I haven't been that impressed. I'll be completely honest.
By Biden?
No, not really.
What about you? Do you have a minute? Yeah. What'd you think of the debate tonight? Obviously, he's getting it on all sides from the other candidate.
Obviously, they're attacking him because he's the biggest threat to all of them. You got to go after the big dog. At least in terms of what you were talking about with the Wall Street thing where he said the standard of living wouldn't change, I think it was inherently you have so much money you won't really notice in your standard of living. I think it was more of that than it was in terms of I'm not going to take anything from you. I think it would be more your standard of living won't change because you are already so far ahead of most average Americans.
And what do you think? Because obviously in 2016, Trump was very successful. Obviously, he was full of it, but he was very successful of painting Hillary as kind of like a puppet of Wall Street and this and that. Do you have any concerns since obviously Biden has been doing a lot of fundraising from Wall Street?
Biden inherently has an advantage over Hillary because he isn't a woman. I think a lot of anti-Hillary sentiment is a lot of people feeling insecure about women in leadership, insecure about women leading our government. And as much as I appreciate Joe Biden and admire what he's done for the country, he will never understand, most men will never understand the issue it is of being a woman in public office or being a woman getting elected.
And what do you think of him tonight? Because I've just been noticing the crowd. There wasn't a lot of cheering, maybe once or twice. It seems like he's been struggling in these debates a little bit.
I think he's from a different era of politics where everyone was at least tried to be a little more not aggressive. And I think like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. And I think that's honestly probably what he's trying to do. Don't pick on the people that
Really? Because Twitter is really not agreeing with you.
Twitter isn't reality. I was born in 1998. I got to vote in the last presidential election. So much of Twitter isn't reality. So many people live in the social media sphere and they can't see the forest for the trees, I guess.
And do you think, I assume you kind of have been involved with campaigns before, do you see the energy? Because I'm covering a bunch of the campaigns. It seems like his events are kind of smaller. I don't want to say exactly like Hillary Clinton, but just smaller, not as many people out there. A lot of people left here tonight. Do you see the enthusiasm for him?
There were a lot more people here earlier. It's like 10 p.m. and most people want to get home. So
people started leaving earlier than 10 p.m.
I mean, I will just say the entrees here are expensive. They are good but expensive, and I'm a college student, so I just tried to get the cheapest thing on the menu.
Do you know in 1974, as a young senator, he actually said, "I don't think women should be the sole people to make decisions about their body"?
Well, yes, I am very aware of his personal opinion as a Catholic being against abortion. What I really admire about Joe Biden is that you can be personally pro-life but politically pro-choice. You can have your faith and follow the tenets of the faith, and the Vatican says that abortion is wrong, at least in the Catholic faith. And I'm not Catholic, and I can accept that. But being politically pro-choice, I feel like, is more important, because your faith shouldn't dictate what I can and can't do with my body. Again, it was a different time, I feel like, especially it was the rise, I believe, of the women's liberation movement in the early 70s. I obviously wasn't alive for that. But generally, I think when you have a record as long as Biden does, of course there's going to be stuff I don't like and everyone doesn't like. But alternately, doesn't that just mean he's been a public servant through many eras? And he was still able to get elected, not only to be vice president in 2008, but also got reelected to his Senate seat in 2008, and he had to give it up.
But isn't that a little different? That's not my religion compels me to be against abortion. That's I don't think women should be the sole people to decide. That's the statement he made. Women are not should not be the sole people to decide what to do with their bodies. I'm not a woman, so I'm curious.
Obviously, we want to say your religion doesn't tell you to do that, but at least in Vatican theology, again, I'm not Catholic, so I might get this wrong, but a lot of Vatican theology is the Pope is a direct messenger of God, and we should follow what he says, and that will obviously shape your personal opinion far more than a random person. And obviously, I don't agree with that. I'm very much pro-choice. I'm a college student. I've never been to Planned Parenthood, but I support them. I donated to Emily's List, stuff like that. But there are a lot of things for a lot of politicians that we don't like. If I remember right, Barack Obama didn't support same-sex marriage in 2008. So obviously, people evolve over time. It's to just look at Biden and say, oh, well, it's this is a negative opinion. Yes, but people change and people progress and people make decisions that will later influence how they see the world.
Let me ask you a question. Have you been here the whole time?
Yeah, about the whole time.
Well, I find it a little troubling that it started with full people, and now, it's like 60% empty. Doesn't seem like a ton of enthusiasm here for Biden.
No, I don't think nobody paying attention. The sound could have something to do with it, but everybody just left. Like, my people left. I had some people, 3 people here with me, and they just took off. So,
Are you supporting Biden, or you're undecided?
still undecided. I'm leaning Biden though, but still undecided.
I got the questions. Tell me about why you're leaning Biden. Because it was Vice President Obama? Because he's got experience?
Honestly, it's the experience, and I feel like just based on everybody else that's running, that he has the best chance of beating Trump. I think his voice can unite different types of people. Like if you have an Asian dude, a black dude, white dude, all in the room at the same time, I feel like he's the type of guy who can talk to everybody and make it and kind of. He can make one statement and everybody understand, kind of make everybody feel,
I don't want to be the white dude being like, what are you thinking, black guy? But, the man did write the crime bill, so aren't you concerned with the African-American vote, especially the millennial African-American vote?
I hear that, but just to be real, black people have been locked up several times. Like in the 80s, we got locked up during drugs. I understand, but that's what I'm saying. So, to just single that out for the one time that you want to pick and say, hey, this guy's the reason black people locked up.
No, they've been obviously this is the origins of America. But I guess what I'm saying is,
there's been times in history where that's happened.
I'm saying is electorally, Hillary Clinton lost because she had 5% less black people come out for her as compared to Obama in 2012. When, if he were the nominee, obviously Trump doesn't mean it, but you're going to have ad after ad after ad. He's going to be calling him Crime Bill Joe. You have no concerns that might suppress the black vote?
I do have concerns, but I think he's going to attack everybody. I think so. I look at who could stand up to his attacks. And I think Biden, he got a little history. I think he'll be able to navigate it a little bit better than some of the other people.
Let me ask you, because what's interesting to me is Hillary Clinton in 2016, one of her big vulnerabilities was Wall Street. She's given these private speeches, took a lot of money from Wall Street. I don't know if you know this, CNN doesn't report it often. I mean, Biden's been telling Wall Street at fundraisers, your standard of living isn't going to change. Obviously, we know Trump is in the pocket for Wall Street, but don't you think in this kind of anti-establishment mood the country is still in, if he's telling Wall Street, I'm basically going to fluff your pillow?
Yeah, that's not good either. That's definitely not good. So, I mean, I definitely get what you're saying. And this is going to sound a little contradictory. I don't think that he is the best candidate. I just think he's the best candidate to beat Trump.
Now, let me ask you, because you talked about fighting for working class people. You're not concerned he was for NAFTA, he's still for TPP. A lot of people in the Midwest were against Hillary Clinton because of TPP, NAFTA. He did the bankruptcy bill, a lot of things that didn't necessarily help working class people.
You know, I think we can spend all the time in the world talking about the past. Bottom line is he worked in the White House when our economy helped middle class people. And for anyone to say that he wasn't involved in those policy decisions and had an impact, I think they're wrong.
People don't just vote on his record as vice president, they're going to look at his entire record.
Right, you know what? That's true. They're going to look at his entire record. But I think his record, there's more positive in that record than there is harm. I think no matter what, he's the candidate who can bring people together. And you know, we don't talk about this enough. What we're really talking about, there's 20 candidates on that stage. And we're talking about, every poll says there's one candidate out of those 20 who can beat Donald Trump in the swing states like Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida. There's one person on that stage are saying who can win.
Well, that's not true.
Is Donald Trump, or that person is Joe Biden.
That's not true.
To the polls I've seen, I believe that is
Every
correct.
poll has shown Bernie is beating Donald Trump as well. 25 out of 26.
You know, and if that's the case, every poll is also showing that Bernie's record, or not Bernie's record, I apologize, I didn't mean to say record, but Bernie is weaker now than he was in 16, and he wasn't able to win the nomination in 16.
I mean, he ran against one candidate versus 24. Obviously, he's not going to have as much as a...
Right, and we can talk about that all day long. Bernie's going to have his time fighting the issues with Warren. And I don't think that's really what we're talking about here. I think what we're really talking about is Biden, what Biden can do for our country. And I from what my understanding and my opinion, I really think he's the strongest candidate to take it to Trump. He has the experience to do so. He has the background, and I think he's the right person for the job, for sure.
Are you concerned about energy? I mean, most of his events have a small audience. Most people here left well before the event was over. It doesn't seem like there's enthusiasm. Like, I was at a Bernie thing last night for that debate, and it was just packed. Not a lot of people left before it was over. Here, it seemed like kind of more, here is just one place, but around the country, he has kind of small venues, not a lot of energy.
You know, that doesn't concern me because I was at his first rally that he had in Pittsburgh, and let me tell you, as far as you could see, it was crowded. It was packed. You know, the people I'm talking to, I'm out there having conversations with people, he has support. And the polls show that. He does have the support. I think, one room in Detroit, a mile away from the debate, that's not going to determine whether he has the energy. I think there's people out there who support him. The polls show it. He has, and everyone I'm talking to, he has the moderate vote, and I think, and that's huge.
Do you think him as a candidate should be doing fundraisers with Wall Street, where he told them, your standard of living will not change under my presidency? Obviously, in 2016, people were revolting against the establishment, Wall Street. He's doing a lot of high-dollar fundraisers with Wall Street.
You know what? What we're really talking about here is we're talking about winning. When you look at Donald Trump's campaign finance numbers, he is blowing Democrats out of the water.
Hillary Clinton outspent Trump 2-1. She lost.
That's fine, but history tells us the person with the most money at the end of the campaign is someone who's going to be able to make it over that edge. And I know you know that.
Well, times are starting to change. I mean, Bernie, Warren, other candidates are competing with small dollar donations.
Yep, and I think Biden has just as much support from small dollar donators.
No, he doesn't.
There are a lot of people donating to his campaign, absolutely.
65 to 70% of his money is large donation.
You know, I think he has support definitely from a lot of small donors out there. A lot of Americans, the polls show that Americans want him as president. They show that he can beat Donald Trump, and they show that he's the right person for the job.
Last question. For you personally, if he became president, how does that change your life?
You know, I think it brings civility back to our country, and I think that affects every American, not just me, but everyone in this room here, everyone around the country.
Are you sure you're a Joe Biden supporter?
I'm on the fence, and that's that.
Out front tonight, chaos at the White House. President Trump's deputy chief of staff, his communications director, is
just because of their connection to President Trump. And I know you've been saying.
We learned recently that Donald Trump threatened to sue his former schools if.
Tired of hearing about Trump 24/7? Become a member at statuscoup.com for only $10 a month. Click the notification. With your help, we can start the media revolution.
And before Bernie went on stage, I spoke with his supporters online here, and you really get that feeling from